Hey there, if you're watching this video, then you are either considering using this article or you've already decided you're going to use this article. And milestone 1 requires you to describe specific characteristics of the population of the study. Ooh, eek. That handwriting didn't turn out very well, did it? Okay, so as you know, the population of the study is the group that is selected to be part of the study. And in my opinion, this particular article has the toughest to understand description of its population. So I want to spend a few minutes going over that with you, kind of giving you a little bit of a heads up about how it's presented to you. So first of all, you might look under the abstract first. Hopefully you've definitely read the abstract if you've decided to use this at a bare minimum. And you do see it tells you the number of people that are used and the age range. And then if you fast forward over to the method, here on page 562, it also gives you the sample, and it more or less gives you a lot of the same information that was in the abstract. So between the sample and the abstract, you might think, oh, well, that's all the information they've given me about the population. And that is not the case. They've given you a lot more information. They've just done it in a way that, especially if you're new to statistics, don't probably recognize that it's there. So I'm going to fast forward again. To page 565, and I'm going to zoom in here to this section where it says demographics. So this is where it's also giving you more characteristics of the sample, including these things right here. And why do we care about the age, the race, the education level, income, marital status, etc.? Well, of course, when we talk later in the semester about whether or not the results of this study will apply to everybody, that term is called whether or not you're able to generalize it to a greater population, it's important to know exactly who are these people that were included in the study. If it only included, white ladies from Louisville, Kentucky, like myself, you might not necessarily be able to take the results and generalize them to, say, African-American men who live in Michigan. So it's important to know and to be able to analyze exactly who the people were that they are basing these results on when they discuss their results. And you're going to see here that it gives you, they use something called dummy variables. And I'm going to zoom in here on the one that they use for race, where they say 1 equals black, 0 equals otherwise. Now, as you hopefully know, because you've started your chapter on types of data, and you know that obviously if it's a category, you can't take the percentage of black, for example, or the average, of black, because that's a category. Now, you can take a percentage of how many people in the sample were black, but you can't do like a mean, stuff like that, like actual data analysis. For reasons that will be apparent much, much later in the term, sometimes we want to be able to find the average and be able to do something like turn these categories into numbers. And that is where dummy variables come in. And I'm trying to just give you a really basic understanding right now. So that means that they basically took every black person in this study and they coded them as a 1, hence the 1 equals black. And anybody else that was not identified as black, they coded as 0 for otherwise. And that allows them to do certain computations with it. So let's say I have a sample of 10 people, and just to keep it basic, and so 4 of them are black and then 6 of them are not. Okay, what they're calling otherwise here. So if for every black person, if they're designated a 1, if I'm finding the average, so that means 1, 2, 3, 4 people that are 1s, and then 6 people who are otherwise. So that's 6 zeros, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if I wanted to find the average of all of those data points, I would, of course, I'm looking for the mean. So I would add all those numbers together. So that would give me 4. And then, of course, to find the mean, you take the sum of all the data and you divide by how many numbers you have in the data set. 4 divided by 10 is 0.4, which is the same thing as 40%. So in other words, if I look at my sample, I can tell that if it's coded as a dummy variable, that means that 40% of the people in my population were black. Now, some of you are probably sitting at home saying, well, why the heck don't I just use the raw data to find the percentages? I promise there really is a good reason that's just outside the scope of this video. Just roll with it for now. So what does that have to do with this article? Well, as they've already told you, they're categorizing black people as a 1 and people that are not black as a 0. So now I'm going to look at table 1. So before you get all overwhelmed and eek, okay, forget about this part right here. We're interested in the part of the table that's here where it's talking about 8. Right now, actually, we're just going to focus on this part of the table for black. So again, because they coded black people as a 1, anybody that wasn't black as a 0, and they tell you that here, that they use the numbers 0 and 1. And here they found an average, which was 0.07. Of course, the way that you turn a decimal into a percent is that you move that over 2 places. So this is 7%. So in other words, 7% of the people in the population, the survey, or that were surveyed for this particular sample, were black. Some people might think, especially when we're talking down the road about generalizing results, say, ooh, that's a pretty low number, or a low percent. So that's something important for you to think about. So basically what that means is for every category that is here in this table, the resulting numbers over here to the right, because of dummy variables, are really just percents presented in a different way. So hopefully that is going to help you to be able to make a little bit more of an educated evaluation of what the characteristics are of the people in the sample for this particular study. If you need any other help, of course, though, please feel free to ask because I'll be around.